This is where we're at. This is where we're at. We are reacting to yesterday's practice, yesterday's loss in baseball. What's new? It's a day that ends in Y. Florida State played a baseball game and lost it. I was standing in the concourse there as the game began, Tom, and because we were watching football practice, and it was rounding out, and then we were watching the start of baseball, the baseball game. And hope was in the air. I was largely responsible for that hope. I was telling everybody, it turns around today, guys. It turns around today. It's a big week for Florida State. They got to go 2-2, maybe 3-1 this week. You got Jacksonville, who's beatable here. Then you got the 3 against Clemson. They're not any good. So here we go. Let's go. Let's get it started. And then we gave up a grand slam in the first. And I was watching it as it happened. I saw almost in slow motion, the 3-2 just grooved right down the heart. That guy sitting on it going, oh, you want to groove me a fastball, do you? Pa-tang! And you could hear, although it was a sparse crowd, you could hear the collective. And not only was that a collective, damn, that's a grand slam, but it was not again. That's what that gasp was. Not again. But yes, indeed, it was again. And then to make it crueler, Florida State only gives up 1 run the rest of the game. 1 run the rest of the contest.
Scored 4.
And lost again.
And had the bags loaded with 1 out in the 9th.
Yeah, man, that'll hurt your feelings. That will hurt your feelings, as I like to say. It did. And I thought, well, here we are. We got us a good old 10-game losing streak. Don't see that every day. In fact, you've never seen it at Florida State, but you have now. A lot of firsts this year for Florida State baseball. Not a lot you can do when you're going through it. When you're in the throes of the disastrous campaign, until you can make changes, the results shall remain the same. That's how this works.
This would be one of those times in a baseball standings I would contact the ACC or whoever puts those together, because one of the traditional columns in baseball standings is what? Last 10. Last 10
Yeah,
games.
last 10.
I would petition. Let's remove that column for the time being, because there would be a 0. A 0 on the left side of the dash.
That is a toughie.
It is.
Johnny Buckets, Warchant doesn't pick any of the ads that run on 93.3. It's a radio station, and none of those ads are picked by us. We just provide the content, the live content you're watching now. That's what we do. You hear the Jeff Cameron show. All the other stuff is not us. As far as unless it's a local business that I'm embracing and advertises through the show, like Gordo's, and obviously Orange Theory Fitness is a national organization, but I work with our dear friends at Orange Theory Fitness locally with the 2 stores that they have here, the 2 gyms that they have here.
Chances are you know what's not us when you hear it. Put it that way.
I was going to say, Johnny, you've listened to the show, right? You kind of know where I'm at. So you would know that those ads wouldn't be something that I'm putting on. That said, though, I just want to clarify those things, because occasionally we get new people in here and, they don't know. They've not heard the show or something like that. And they're like, oh, I don't know what's going on here.
And Johnny, I'll be a great friend to Jeff as he enters his 60s and 70s. Because
I'm 51 years old, Johnny.
Because at those points, sometimes the conversations at the dinner table turn weird. And I will be alert to that, Johnny.
Oh, man. So anyhow, there's all of that. So it's frustrating. I was asked about this yesterday. We were asked about this yesterday on Seminole Headlines. We're not avoiding the conversation, but it is a repetitive one. There's not a lot you can do to change the channel. What I mean by that is I'm tired of the same storyline every time we hit the diamond as well. It's a game starts and it ends and we lose. And you go, well, damn it, man. And you just want it to stop. And I do think it's worth noting historically that it's never been this bad. And Florida State's never had a losing season, but they might have one this year. And it's remarkable to think about that. It's hard to digest that. But if we're going to be responsible, you recognize that you brought in a coaching staff that's already proven they can coach. So you can just end one of the talking points. Now, have they done a good job this year? You can't argue that they have. No, it'd be a hard argument to say they have. But I also know that when you come in July and all of the, it's like when you go through I don't know, a garage sale is probably not a good sign, but somebody's giving away half their closet and a lot of nice clothes in there. Well, it's been picked through. You got there late. The thing started at 2. It's 4. There's nothing left. This shirt has a stain on it. So this is kind of the situation that I think Link Jarrett found himself in, trying to make the most of what he inherited. And then there were injuries, and the pitching staff's not good, and your best pitcher of a not good pitching staff is out seemingly for the year. So nothing's gone right, and it's avalanched on these guys. And because baseball is a game, and Tom, you nailed the fact, and we can say it from the mountaintops, these guys you got a lot of guys that don't have a position. It's just a collection of ball players. You don't look out there and go, he's a second baseman. He's a first baseman. That guy's clearly a center fielder, although I think we have a center fielder. But the point is, there aren't many guys out there that you say, yeah, he's what he's playing. He should be that. So you got a lot of positionless guys, and then you start having the failures mount. And baseball's cruel, man. You know how it is. It's a game not unlike golf, where if you're not confident standing over the ball in golf, you're not going to succeed. You're not going to feel good. If you don't feel like you know where the ball's going or you got a shot in hell of making good contact, well, then you don't. You don't have that. You're going – it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think that to some extent, when you've seen the defense unravel and you've watched the prolonged struggles for certain guys at the plate, it's become a really, really, really tough mountain to climb at this point with all the losses that have mounted. It's brutal.
It is, and if it changes, we'll let you know, everybody. But as of right now, this automatic transmission setting that we're in this vehicle is not good. The thing I'd say is that when you have the reputation that Link Jarrett has, an earned reputation, you get a mulligan. And much like the golf tournament we'll all be playing in 2 Fridays from now, the JCS Warchant Invitational at Capital City Country Club, you could purchase mulligans there. The whole thing about a mulligan is make it count. If you're going to miss big, baby. And Link gets a mulligan for this year. The staff does. They're going to get their own players in here, specialized as they may be. I heard the conversations that you've had about that. And that Link has said he wants to recruit players that are at a specific position out of high school. Not, we'll figure it out later. I know this guy can play X position. Let him do that. But this first year is a mulligan. The hard part about this season is that they went on the road. They handled business at Jacksonville the same week that they went on the road, and they played really, really well against a TCU team that was highly thought of at the time. So you had this fool's gold, and since then it's been, exposed for what it is, which is deeply, deeply flawed.
What I do in situations like this, and we're doing it to some extent with the basketball team, if you ask me which of these two programs, which are in the midst of disastrous years, or one has concluded their disastrous campaign and we find ourselves stuck, if you ask me about that, and then you ask me about the baseball team and you say, okay, well, this is not it, and this is a problem, and golly, how do you see this going? What I would tell you is that I have a lot more faith right now, believe it or not, even in the midst of a 10-game losing streak, that baseball will get turned around very quickly. There's something about, first of all, I think you can equate Florida State baseball in some ways to Florida State football, and that is tradition laden. It's nationally significant. It is known in baseball circles, certainly, and that's a small niche community that pays attention to college baseball. But within those circles and all the travel ball circuits and everything else, Florida State baseball is renowned. They've done everything there is to do except win a national title. Got it. Other than that, they've been a dominant program. The football program, when down, was still seen as a major brand in the game of college football, so much so that it was a talking point incessantly. Why is Florida State down? We don't ask why, Cal is down. We don't ask why Rutgers sucks. They just do. Nobody cares. They always have. It's a story when they don't. But when a major player, even if they've been down a long time, like Nebraska football has sucked for a long time now. And every year we're like, man, look at Nebraska. Still out here sucking. My God. Because they were a cornerstone of college football, along with several others. They made up the best of college football for 100 years. So we still wait on them. Why do I bring all that up in relation to what's going to get turned around and what won't? Well, it doesn't take all that long for a brand that has cachet to get it turned around if the right thing happens, the right guy in some cases, the right season in other cases, whatever it might be. Something happens to remind everybody and ring the bell. Oh, yeah, that's who they really are. That's right. And it doesn't take long. And you got countless examples of this. When Florida State recruits well and they get the right guy in operating and he gets things rolling and he taps back into that cachet, people respond. Players around the country suddenly put you on their radar because you've always mattered. They may not even know why. Subconsciously, they just know you have. And then they come for a visit and they see the championships and they see everything else. All right. The same type of thing will happen for Link and this coaching staff with baseball. He's going to have to gut it. I wouldn't be surprised if you end up seeing 20 plus new players here next year. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. That's a lot. That's a ton. That is a true gut job, right? That is. But when you do that, there are going to be a lot of eager parents and players to listen to the message because Florida State is on high, who they are in baseball. Leonard's got a much bigger problem. He's going to be 75 years old. The basketball program, despite our affinity and love for it, and our acknowledgement of the accomplishments in two separate times during his tenure here at Florida State, and we know how close they were to kicking down that door, to going to the Final Four. And it's a tragedy that COVID happened for a lot of reasons, and one of which was the basketball program never got the opportunity to fulfill all of that tireless hard work that they had put together to bring in this team. But it happened, and they didn't, and they don't resonate at all with recruits in basketball. And now that it's gone to NIL, Tom, they're even more screwed because there's no money for basketball. There's no money for basketball here. So you combine his age, the lack of a reputation within the sport, okay? And I don't believe it's going to get turned around. I think they're screwed. I hate it. I hate saying that out loud. I hope I'm wrong. I might be. We'll see.
They'll have to scout their asses off and find diamonds in the rough.
Who's got time to scout anything? He's going to be 75. You better find 4 bad sons of bitches in the portal that can come in here and be good now, tomorrow.
Right. That won't cost a ton is my point.
Well, yeah, I know. I get your point, but then it's not going to, well, in my opinion, it's not going to work out. And I hope I'm wrong. Stinks. But things have changed, and now I think they're screwed. Love Leonard, and I hope he gets it right this year and has a chance to go out with a team that makes the tournament, and then we'll talk about where we go from there. But I don't worry. I guess I'm saying all of this. I'm not in the midst of a 10-game losing streak, and it is historic for Florida State baseball. Listen, we've been able to gloss over and not talk about this because football drives the bus. I get it. And we're in the midst of spring, and we spend the majority of the time talking about football. Really, the nation does. Even when the NFL's in the offseason, shows are entirely committed to football. I get it. And I don't want people just clicking because I'm talking baseball, but I can't not acknowledge a historic low for this baseball program. And the oddity is that it's with a guy that's proven he can coach and is one of our own, who was an All-American here, who everybody celebrated coming back. He's going to have to wear this. This sucks for him. I can't imagine the turmoil he feels at night laying in bed knowing that this season is going to be next to his name.
Well, I mean, how many times did we talk about it with football when things weren't going well? And thankfully, this fan base cares a lot more about football because it's a hell of a lot more interesting right now. But it's the straitjacket feeling. You're in a straitjacket. There's nothing you can do. How many times have we said that over the last 6 or 7 years when we get to an argument about a particular game? How winnable is it? Where's Florida State in the hierarchy of the Atlantic Division when it existed? How close is Florida State to being a 10-win football team? Whatever these discussions that we were having, it would come down to the trenches suck, so you can't win football games. You can't rely on anything but an outlier to get you a win, like the North Carolina game the COVID year, where you get up to a big lead and you hold on for dear life at the end because Mac Brown doesn't realize he can just run the ball down your throat. Like, you need things like that to happen. So you're in a straitjacket. There's nowhere you can go. Where do you want to point? Recruiting, not good enough. Facilities and or infrastructure, not good enough. Jimbo had a point. He just didn't know how to communicate at all. Organization with Willie, there's nothing you could do about that. The stories poured in faster than we could hear them about the lack of organization and the faux pas behind the scenes. So you're stuck. And then also veteran talent. You don't have any. So it's just, you just can't go anywhere with it. But we break it down as time goes on. And thankfully it got better. With baseball right now, you're in a straitjacket. There's nothing you can do. You want to lean on pitching? You can't. How about defense? Nope, none of that either. How about the lineup? They've got some bright spots, but health is an issue. Confidence? Don't have it. How about some wins that we could point to? TCU's a long time ago. So you're in the straitjacket. That's where we are.
I'm rooting for, obviously, all of it to get turned around. I'm rooting for Coach Ham immensely. I'd love to see it. I hope, when I look at some of the guys that are in the portal who mentioned Florida State's name as being on the list of teams they're interested in, there's some really significant names on there. The problem is when you look at the names of the teams that they're listed with, it's Florida State, it's another school. It's like, so like the Sienna kid leaves because of NIL. Was he going to come to Florida State? I mean, I'm sorry. Some of the other schools interested in that kid have significant advantages in NIL for basketball over Florida State. Like, if you're mentioned alongside Kansas, you ain't getting that kid.
Well, and if you look at the evaluations on three, it's just absurd how much it costs for a basketball player. It's almost like that market is completely independent of the TV payout market. Like, realities of the market in college should mirror television dollars. In that, for example, a football player who is of the elite quality should be worth 5-6 times what a basketball player is.
Yeah.
That's just not the case.
Well, it's also a much bigger roster.
It's roster scarcity. I get that. That's a factor. But when you talk about the marketability of a player who can help your program, unless you're getting Kevin Durant out of high school, I mean, really, how much are they doing for you relative to a quarterback,
right,
who could be a Heisman candidate? It's not even close in terms of what value it brings, unless you live in like the state of Indiana. Other than that, you would think that the market would reflect the viewership numbers, and it kind of doesn't. So that's the hard part here, is it's very expensive to go get good basketball players.
Yeah.
Very expensive.
Yeah. And listen, I think there's another aspect to all this too, when you're caught betwixt and between. And this is one that's troubling, is that, like, let's say you had, I'm trying to give a scenario that's fair, but let's say you had somebody coming along who was a Florida State grad, just diehard Knoll, had made a lot of money in business, whatever it might be, right? And they had a passion. Maybe they were in the lost decade, and they were in school at that time, and basketball was their refuge. That's where they went because football was so bad. You have a lot of Florida State graduates that are your friends that
Sure.
that describes aptly, right? That football was such a bitter disappointment that all they could do was turn to basketball to be uplifted. And they went to those games, and it was a lot of fun to watch a program that really hasn't, save for one, brief period of time.
It's the first thing that made me feel like a Knoll as a student.
Right, because you could share that
basketball
experience.
program. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's say this type of person, has made hedge fund guy now. He's made $1 billion, and he was at FSU at undergrad when the basketball program was all we had, right? And he went to those games, and it kills him to see this. He's watching this. He's like, damn it, it's not fair. That's a good man over there that's done a ton for this university and has found a way to succeed beyond our wildest dreams in basketball with no cachet to speak of. We got to help him out now in his final couple of years. I'm not going to stand by and watch this. You'd love for that to happen, but short of something like that, what's more apt to happen, what's more likely to happen, is that the future investor of which I speak is going to go, let's see, do I go all in now for a guy whose time is short? Or do we start fresh when we get the new coach, and I'll try to influence the situation when we start fresh, including being willing to pony up and help out with an entirely new roster for the new coach, et cetera.
If that investor exists, to me, I think here's what they could do, at least as I understand it. You could get a top flight transfer, like a dude, a real guy. Then I don't know how much you got left. That's the thing. Is I think it's not like they got nothing, but you need so much on this roster. You need so much. I get it. There's only 5 on the court at the same time, but we like to roll 8 to 10 deep.
Well,
and how many?
I think those days are gone.
Okay,
but
well, let's say that you have a 6-man rotation. How many dudes do you need to bring in this offseason? How many guys?
Well, it's more
3?
about who you're getting. Well, hold on. It's more about who you're getting rid of.
Yeah.
I mean, let's start with how many that you got. One that you had to get rid of.
One down.
And he's gone. Now we need, I think we both agree, at least 2 more, maybe 3. Take it on down the highway. All right. So now you got to replace those guys. So you're going to need 3 or 4.
All right.
But you need 2, to answer your question, you need 2 really good players.
Maybe you could stretch it to make that work. But, I mean, you'd have to stretch it. I think, just because that market is not the same as football.
No.
It's just strange.
It is. I want to get into football. And speaking of NIL, there's an angle here that cracks me up. It has to do with a recruit that was at practice yesterday. I'll tell you about that next. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Discover the tastes of Peru at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. Con amor y pasión, with love and passion, Café de Martín is a fine Peruvian dining experience in an approachable, comfortable, cultural-rich space built for creating memories to last a lifetime. Enjoy happy hour daily with a full bar, handcrafted cocktails, beers on draft and bottle, paired with a selection of Peruvian tapas like crispy fried yuca with house-made huancaína sauce, carefully selected charcuterie boards, a selection of fresh ceviches, and so much more. It's Café de Martín and El Bar. Escape to Peru, a country of great culture, beauty, and food right here in the capital city. Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
When some slithery, slimy something shows up uninvited in my home, I want it gone. Now. Not next Tuesday, not tomorrow. Today. Pretty sure I'm not sleeping knowing that thing is crawling around in my house. That's why I call Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Here in Tallahassee, Paul's guarantees same-day service if I call before 1. Ants, roaches, mice, wasps, fleas, whatever it is, Paul's responds with guaranteed same-day service. Pretty sure I've never heard that from any other pest company. Guess that's an advantage to being a locally owned and operated company like Paul's Termite and Pest Control. They're here and make things happen fast.
We at Paul's know when you have some pest or rodent in your home, you want it out now. That's why in Tallahassee, we guarantee same-day service. You call us before 1, we'll be there before 5, guaranteed. That's our commitment to you. The health and protection of North Florida friends and neighbors is the reason we love our jobs.
For the elimination of termites or any other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Learn more at callpauls.com.
Car accident? Call Basic Brooks Law Offices, 777-7777.
Services to call away. 222-7722. Heating and cooling is the job we do. Parker Services. Conferences to call away.
Invest in a Peak Performance membership and you'll buy peace of mind in knowing that you're extending the life of your system and probably saving money on your power bill too. The program includes comprehensive tune-ups that keep your system running at its maximum efficiency. And Peak Performance members get many benefits including priority service. Members jump to the front of the line when their comfort system fails. And a 15% discount on all parts. The Peak Performance membership pays for itself over and over again. Call today and have peace of mind. Florida license number CMC 050334.
Parker Services. Conferences to call away. Parker Services. Conferences to call away.
Choose Hearth and Patio for custom fireplaces, maintenance, outdoor grills, kitchens, fire pits, lighting, and so much more. Check out all of Hearth and Patio's options online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
It's Chan. Two questions. One, does Tiger make the cut? And two, with all these programs buying recruits, is a top 5 recruiting class a possibility without buying the recruits to get there? Happy Masters Week. I appreciate that. Thanks for jumping in here, CJ.
Holy Jesus.
Awfully kind as always. Does Tiger make the cut? I think he does. This is the place where I feel most comfortable saying that. Obviously, the lay of the land and his expertise around here is duly noted. A lot of old guys have made deep runs in this thing, including everybody remembers Jack in '86. I think the more impressive run was a 10, 13 years later when he was once again in the top 15 and he was like 59 years old.
I think it was 98.
Yeah.
It was the O'Meara one. O'Meara made the putt as they were doing the Sunday conversation with Jack. And you remember that he could hear it. He could hear the word. O'Meara made it? He made the putt?
Yeah. So, I mean, this place does that. Bernard Longer, Fred Couples, etc.
Tigers only missed the cut of the Masters one time, 1996. You got to play it for him to make the cut. He's had like one leg since then in a Masters. He's had personal issues galore at another Masters or 3. So he still makes the cut in every situation except for being an amateur. And his body should be in better positions for this year's Masters than last because he's hit more golf balls.
Yeah. Yes, as you noted, he's never missed the cut as a professional. He did as an amateur here, but
and then he won the next year.
And then he won the next year in
fashion.
And then Katie Barr at the door. Everybody got to see what was about to happen next. If Tiger makes the cut, is he a legit contender? I don't believe so. You can make an argument against me. I'm here to listen to it, and that's fine. But I'm telling you what I think is going to happen. I think he'll make the cut, but I don't think he'll be in real contention on Sunday.
If he is to contend for real on Sunday, I think it's because he reaches back and finds the intangible thing that we've seen emerge just 3 years ago.
In 2019, he did it, yeah.
It won't be because it's the safe bet to make. Now, Fred Couples and Jack and others, Bernhard, have competed on a Saturday and been damn near the final pairing, if not in the final pairing on a Saturday. That would not stun me to see Tiger in the final 2 or 3 groupings in round 3. Now, who knows with the weather if that's actually going to occur on schedule. But that wouldn't stun me. The whole issue with me for Tiger is he a part of the wave that has to play more golf than is scheduled on a given day? Because his routine to get ready for a round of golf is absurd.
Yeah, and he talks about it, but I would love to see it. Like having to watch that, I can't imagine it. I mean, there's a lot of manipulation and working of the body and contorting to try to get him to where he can make and be in positions to make certain types of swings.
It's 3 hours before he goes to the range.
Yeah.
That's how long it takes to get the body limber enough to go hit balls at the driving range. And then it's a 3-hour cool down process after. So you put that together with a round of golf that doesn't take 90 minutes in between. That's such a full day. And to ask him to play more than 18 holes in a given 24-hour period, I think significantly takes away from his chances to win.
If it happens, it would be awesome. If we got an opportunity to see it, it's his playground. Thanks, C-Chan. Goodness gracious. The gift that keeps on giving, buddy. Woo! He loves that place, and I think for as long as he can swing a club, he's going to play it. He may not even play the others, meaning the other majors. He's starting to sound more like a guy who's willing to come to grips with his new reality. I think it's tedious and wears on anybody, no matter how competitive, to have to go through the aforementioned process that Tom just described, just to play. You have to have a passion and a love, I think, in addition to wanting to be great and be incredibly competitive. You have to have a love for the place, and I think the Masters is that place for him, whereas obviously the other majors rotate. There might be some venues he doesn't feel so great about. There might be some venues he simply can't compete in. So he may look at those other majors in a way that, is more calculated. Whereas at Augusta every year, he's going to want to play. He's going to know the course, and he's going to always be capable, at the very least, of having enough ball speed and distance to compete there. So I shouldn't say always. I mean, someday he'll be 66 with that body, and he won't be able to do it, but you know what I mean.
Did you answer the other question, which Z-Chan asked about the top 5 class? Because I think the answer is no. It's pretty simple. Is a top 5 recruiting class possible without buying recruits to get there? I don't think it is.
Not in today's game. It seems highly unlikely. I don't think it is either. I think you have to. I mean, you're going to buy. You're going to obviously offer competitive value, and offers to the elite recruits, which would compel you to a top 5 recruiting class ranking. Because that kid's being, if you have a top 5 recruiting class ranking, you got several kids, more than a handful of kids, that were recruited by Georgia and Alabama, or Clemson, or whomever, right? Well, Clemson maybe is irrelevant here in terms of their position on NIL, but Texas A&M, whatever. And you're going to have to pay them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a nuance to that answer, though, because some of it is about you get to the point where they want to hear from you. And winning does that, where they want to hear from you. But I think you can establish a significant personal relationship, Chan, with the recruit, to where maybe you don't have to pay as much. But at the end of the day, it's not like you get there, boy, I love you, Coach Norvell. I'm going to play for free for you instead of the $500,000 that I'm being offered to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to use common sense in some of these cases. I could want to go to a lot of schools, but if one of them is offering me $600,000 and the other is offering me $5, hey, man, go ahead and take that $600,000 life-changing money.
So ultimately, it gets to that point where you have to buy, quote unquote, you have to buy. It doesn't mean you don't establish a relationship.
Brings me to my point. We were talking before the break. I don't know if you saw KJ Bolden's quote, but it cracks me up. And if you're wondering if we're competitive in the NIL sphere, guys, look, we know, for example, the Battle's End is what has been responsible for the football roster retention, and obviously some of the players that have chosen Florida State. I think, you could presumably, and I think there's evidence that, you could certainly give credit where credit's due to the Battle's End there. You want as many different, in my mind, you'd like as many different people offering to help the university as possible in name, image, likeness. So there's room for other collectives. But when it comes to football, we know that has been the Battle's End. And so we worried, and I think long-term you'd still have to worry, but we worried in the short term, would Florida State be competitive in the NIL world? Turns out the Battle's End has answered that with a resounding yes. And obviously we know that this is an ongoing effort. But when you have the number one safety in the country at practice yesterday, and a very, 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 very bright orange shirt, I felt like, was that there just to make sure that anybody affiliated with recruiting, coaching, or whatever knew where he was at all times? We can't have my man getting lost in the shuffle. We want to make sure everything's going the way it needs to go at all times with this guy.
Sounds like something I'd want to wear here on Warchant TV.
I mean, it made me laugh. So KJ Bolden is his name, and he was at practice. We watched him up and down the sideline and all the good stuff yesterday. Well, he said in an interview post-practice that the coaches told him, you have it?
Yeah. Don't come here just because of yourself or you want to play earlier money, quote unquote. That's what the coaches told him.
Well, I'm going to cut to the chase, guys. He just told you that they told him, don't come here just because of the money. If you're a Florida State fan or supporter and excited about what, is going on in the NIL world, you just did a little dance because you want to talk about being competitive. The kid is like, listen, he's considering Florida State. He's here. He's at practice. That's a great thing, right? So right off the bat, you matter now in the eyes of the biggest recruits. A couple years ago, you didn't. Guys like KJ Bolden weren't just rolling on in. They are now. Good. So when you get them here, they're going to want to know a lot of things. How do you practice? What's it like to live in Tallahassee, Florida? What kind of opportunities are there for me? How much money am I going to be able to make? And you've got a conversation in which the kid's like saying, hey, listen, I can't, there are more things than just the money. Obviously, the money's great. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it is. Florida State's done well. Done very well. The NIL, the battle's in, this football roster, the continued growth in this process, in this realm, appears to be alive and well. That's exciting. That's good news. That's something that, again, I be careful how we talk about it, but I mean, it seems to me, it seems self-evident when you hear that quote, when you read that quote, that it's understood amongst recruits that a certain collective is doing right by the players that come to Florida State University.
I like hearing that quote rather than some of the quotes we've seen in previous years, which is that, I just want to see the love. What do you want to learn about Florida State? Well, I just want to see the love. Oh, okay. Why did you just come out and say it? I want to see dollar signs. Those are some of the quotes from previous recruiting cycles. And now you see something along the lines of, well, don't just do it for early playing time. Don't just do it for money. Don't just do it for this or for that. Make sure that there's a genuine connection.
Yeah. I mean, well, the money's a foregone conclusion.
That's your implication. But yes.
KJ, the money is a foregone conclusion. Obviously, we've got that really more than we need. But you've got to look around. You're going to be offered a lot of money by a lot of people, probably not more than we're going to offer you. But, I mean, at the same time, you got to see, do you like it here? You having
Again,
fun?
That's what you're inferring. But
that's just me.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at it that way. That's what I extrapolate from that quote right there, is that that young man heard the good word, which was, we got money. Don't worry about that. Do you like the campus?
Have you seen our student union? Unbelievable the things they've done over there.
Have you gotten a bagel at Einstein's? There's one right here on campus. Delicious. Have you checked it out? It's spring. It's a good time to walk the campus, sir. Just saying. A lot of factors. You should come back in the summer. Those factors are everywhere.
Have you heard of recess? And I don't mean fifth grade after lunchtime. Man.
So it's a great day. It's a day to celebrate. That quote cracked me up. Don't just come here because of the money, young man. I mean, that's taken care of, obviously, but you're going to have to look around at all the other factors that make Tallahassee special.
That's not the quote, to be clear.
Well, I mean, I'm paraphrasing. It's pretty close to the quote. Go ahead and read the quote again. It's not crazy what I did. I got to the good stuff.
It's going to take me a minute.
Oh, well.
Look, I closed the window.
Well, don't worry about it.
He was telling me if you want to come to Florida State, don't come here just because of yourself or you want to play early or money. Come here because you really want to come here.
Yeah. Don't just come here for the money. It's a beautiful day. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. High of 87 this afternoon. Under partly cloudy skies. South winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows around 67 tonight. Partly cloudy skies. A mix of clouds and sun tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 88. Upper 80s Friday with a chance for scattered thunderstorms. Turning much cooler Saturday with highs in the upper 70s. Chance for storms continues. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 88.
This is Dr. Ryan Finn in Tallahassee. It's time to spring into health. Spring brings neck pain, back pain, headaches, and allergies. We have specific adjustments that can help with these issues.
This is Dr. Shannon Lord. Don't let neck pain, back pain, headaches, or allergies stop you from enjoying the Sunshine State. Spring into action and make your appointment online at finnchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
That's FENNCHIRO.com.
Remember, your chiropractor loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
After the Sabbath, at dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to look at the tomb, and there was a violent earthquake. For an angel of the Lord rolled back the stone and said unto the women, Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen. This Easter, may your heart be filled with the faith and wonder of that first Easter morning, now and throughout the year. A message of hope from Whitten Glass on South Monroe, Tallahassee's first family in glass since 1945. For mirrors, shower and bath enclosures, tabletops, and window glass, call 222-5781, online at whittenglass.com. And Tony Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning, the highest industry standards, personal attention to every detail. That's Tony Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. Call 850-3774, online at TonyKellyInc.com.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
In Augusta. Perhaps you are. I wish we were, but we're not.
I wish I was playing Augusta.
Ooh, buddy. We've gone from wanting to go to you just want to play it.
No, I'm just saying while we're dreaming. I mean, who doesn't dream about teeing it up with a Masters?
Well, specifically, I've wanted to play the par 3 course. Oddly, I really have. Of course, I'd want to play the regular course too. And I actually know a few people who have. And what's odd is I've always thought, because I've had the good fortune of, and a lot of people have listening to the show, because you can access this place a lot easier than you can Augusta. But I've played Sawgrass and a couple of places that, I played the Blue Monster Doral, other places that.
Orange County National, home of the Live tournament.
So I've played some of these places, and the point would be that if they have a tradition, like Sawgrass, for example, where you stand certain places and you can reminisce about certain shots over the years that you've seen other guys hit, and it can get in the way of playing a good round of golf. So can the level of suck that I possess in golf. But if you are standing somewhere and you're thinking about the time Adam Scott hit this shot to within 15 feet, put himself in a position to win the tournament or whatever it might be, it's pretty cool. And you get the scenery is distracting. Like, I've never played Pebble Beach. I know a lot of people who have. And they say, yeah, it's breathtaking. You get caught up in it. You can't help it. You're staring out at the ocean. And then, you lose concentration for a second. It's a hard course. And you're in an untenable position and you put up a big number because inevitably you're distracted by the sheer beauty of the topography. And, yeah, I mean, I get that. But Augusta would be overwhelming. Having been there, having walked that course, never played it, but having attended the Masters, it is, to me, one of the very few places that is talked about and lauded as much as this place is, that actually is better than what you anticipate after having heard all of those descriptors. It's like when you go see the Alamo, you're like, this thing's a piece of crap. The Alamo's garbage. Why did I travel all the way here to see the Alamo? It's as big as my den. So now that makes me laugh that you thought I would actually say that.
Well, man, we already had a slip up that was not a full slip up last week. No. So I'm just,
it's the size of you're like, oh, this is the Alamo. Jeez. But not Augusta. When you go to Augusta, you're like, oh, it's even more beautiful than they said it was. I didn't think it was possible. I mean, every freaking blade of grass. I actually do. You do. When you go there, you go, how do they do this? How do they do this? Some poor bastard is out here with like little scissors making sure that it's unreal.
Obscene wealth is okay. As long as we have Augusta, it's all right.
No, it blows you away. It really does. And when you're there, you're like, whoa. I mean, I'll never forget. I got to give credit to my dear friend and Florida State golf coach Trey Jones for allowing me to go and spend a few days with him.
You've been there?
Stop it. So but I'm telling you, the highlight was late in the evening as the sun's going down and guys are practicing. If you ever get to go on one of the practice round days and just be there late. You get a $2 ice cold beer and you go kind of meander about the course while guys are practicing and they interact with fans and they'll laugh. They'll ask they'll ask the patrons, what do you want me to hit? Like it's cool as hell. The guys have fun. They seem to put their guard down and relax. They know where they're at. And if they've done the work that they've needed to do for the day and now they're just out there because why wouldn't you be? It's breathtaking. You catch them on like a Tuesday or something. They're just talking to patrons about what do you want me to hit?
Well, and also people got to put their phones away. They're not allowed to have them, in terms of the cameras, the phones, those types of things. It's a lot easier to feel an intimate connection. And everybody who's been there for the practice round say they're better. Everybody.
Well, you're avoiding the mass of humanity is the thing. You're avoiding, 30 rows deep with all the people. And so less people is generally a good thing in life. So, if you're able to avoid all of the people, it's a real good deal.
Except, if you want to live in a city, that's got.
Well, but if we're trying to do something and achieve,
to leave it, get in the car and leave it.
Yeah.
The craziest thing to me, and I've only been to, even though I live in, a place that hosts a PGA Tour event every year, maybe like 5 or 6 events in my life, but the Ryder Cup is without a doubt the best thing I've ever been to. And what's crazy about it is when you watch these guys manipulate the golf ball, it just feels like you're watching somebody who has a tennis racket at the end of a stick.
Yeah.
That's how precise they are between the grooves, from the heel side of the club to the toe side of the club. It's just unbelievable. It looks like a mallet in their hands with how they can make the ball do what they wish it to do.
And if bifurcation happens, and it looks like it will, I think you'll see more of it. It's an argument for it.
Yeah. You could shape the ball even more.
Yeah. And that's why traditionalists like Tiger want to see it, because they grew up watching guys who did magical things to golf balls. I mean, like you're talking about.
And he always played the softest golf ball he possibly could
because of that,
while not taking himself out of the race with distance. Yeah.
Ted, I'll answer your question. I just saw it pop up here before we go to break. He wants to know what happened to Rising Spear. Is it still a thing? It is very much still a thing. They have deals with certain players and other.
They got Julian Armella for football, but then most of
the others are from other sports.
Other sports.
Other sports is what they're locked in. Fins Up writes, if Jordan Travis wins a Heisman and national championship in 2023, where does he rank amongst FSU's all-time players, considering he helped rebuild us also? That's a good one. We got asked a similar question on headlines, I think, a couple weeks back, and we were wrestling with this. You're including all players, not just quarterbacks, I see. And that makes it even more intriguing. Because if it's just, Charlie is going to lead the way, Charlie Ward, winning the national championship in 93, winning the Heisman Trophy, and changing the course of history for Florida State forevermore, because in a way, he's a pioneer, changed our offense, changed everything about what Florida State was. They go to the fast break offense because of him after the Georgia Tech game, and it changes Florida State's fortunes forever. So I think he's always going to be, amongst quarterbacks, that guy. Even if we think Jameis was a better quarterback, Charlie kicked down the door.
Yeah. Winky gets lost in the shuffle because he was ancient
by
college football
30
standards.
And there was loaded talent all around him, and so he gets less love, and I think understandably so, and I think he would agree with that to some extent. Although it's not like the 93 team was devoid of talent. And certainly same for 2013. I don't know. We'll have to pontificate on that there, Fins Up. And hour number 2, which is forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Considering buying a new home in the current climate. All heard that demand is high, inventory is low. So how do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers on the same house as you? Oh, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with a complete pre-approval underwriting. This used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. You want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is real and ready to go. It's tough out there these days, folks, so why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
This is Tyler from Bear No Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere.
Save big time in the new year and get $1,200 off select new units.
Online at BaranoAC.com.
Keeping you comfortable is what Barry does best.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Tallahassee's favorite family-owned Apple and Mac product stores moved to an all-new location. Mac & More Systems is now located at 230 John Knox Road. Same great people, same great services, same great prices, all at a new location. Mac & More offers computer and Apple device sales, one-on-one consulting, business services, and the most experienced Apple repair team in the city. Learn how to get the most out of your Apple gear. Come by and say hi to the Mac & More Systems team today at their new location, 230 John Knox Road.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whitten Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Whitten Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at whittenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
This is Brett Musburger's Action Update. The best way to start betting smarter is to sign up for a free VSIN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe. That's vsin.com/subscribe.
Major League Baseball today, the Tampa Bay Rays, they look to stay undefeated as they wrap up their series against the Washington Nationals. It'll be Shane McClanahan on the mound today for the Rays, who are paying out at -270 as favorites on the road. The Nationals with a victory pay out at +220. The over-under has been set at 8 runs. Jesus Luzardo on the mound today for the Marlins as they play host to the Minnesota Twins. And the Twins pay out at -116. The Marlins at -102. Over-under at 7 runs. For the latest odds all the time, visit vsin.com. I'm Matt Pauley. This has been your Action Update on Tallahassee's Real Talk station, Real Talk 93.3.
Did you know that when you order food delivery through third parties like Uber Eats and Bite Squad, local restaurants lose up to 30% of their own revenue, and you're actually sending your money to corporate bank accounts in California? Well, now you can truly support our locally owned restaurants by ordering directly from foodiestakeout.com. Choose from delicious options like El Jalisco, Smitty's Tap House, Hangar 38, Jerry's Cafe, and many more. With Foodies Takeout and Delivery, we can actually put our money where our mouth is. Order your next fresh meal today at foodiestakeout.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
I'll never forget
that moment.
As long as I live.
My first call ever as a member of the National Guard.
When we got to the armory, they briefed us on the wildfires. They were getting dangerously close to homes.
Helicopters were going out to drop water on the fires.
Guys in the unit were preparing for firefighting with local fire crews.
At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Florida National Guard. Aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
As a truck driver, I've learned how important road safety is. I know that large trucks need more time and room to stop. That's why I always hang back and follow other vehicles at a safe distance. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. So next time you're driving, try to remember to always give trucks extra space when you merge in front of them. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at sharetheroadsafely.gov. Vaccine preventable diseases still exist in the United States and all around the world. You have the power to protect yourself, your family, and your community. To learn more, visit vaccinateyourfamily.org.
Every child deserves a chance to live their best life and celebrate every moment. When you support St. Jude, you help give kids with cancer around the world that chance. Together, we can save more lives. Finding cures, saving children. Visit stjude.org.
Real Talk fact number 44. Banging your head against the wall for 1 hour burns 150 calories. This is Real Talk 93.3, Tallahassee's Real Talk station. Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
the break because I like it. Where would Jordan P. Simpson? Good one. Jeff's TV is larger than the Alamo.
Yeah, it's at least probably
It's right there with it. Yeah, about the same size. I think I would have just given it. You guys can have it. So as far as the
we'll use it to protect us.
Where would Jordan Travis, if he wins a Heisman and a national championship in 2023, where does he rank among FSU's all-time players, considering he helped rebuild also? I got to tell you, I think you can even remove the Heisman. He wouldn't even have to win the Heisman. If this team puts up big numbers and because they have such an emphasis on the run and they have a deep collection of running backs and a depth at offensive line, if their primary way of moving the football is to run the football, and that takes away from Jordan's passing yards in a way that doesn't really allow him to compete with some of the gaudy numbers that a Caleb Williams will put up in Lincoln Riley's offense.
You'll have to.
Okay. So if something like that happens and he's not really a Heisman candidate, let's say, or he just doesn't have the numbers, but he plays exceptionally well and they go 11-1 and win the ACC and then go to the college football playoff. I mean, that alone puts Jordan in an elite group because he's helped bring us back. Is exactly right. You're right, though. Stamping it with a national championship ups the ante, puts you in a group of rarefied individuals. So, yeah, golly, it's tough.
There would be
he'd be a top 10 all time.
Unique quality to his career. Because what we saw from some of the players when Jimbo was, obviously leading the way recruiting as the head coach in waiting, they changed rules and closed loopholes about access to recruits because of some of the successes we had directly. Like we look at LaMarcus Joyner and Bjorn Werner and Telvin Smith and Timmy Jernigan and
list goes on and on.
It goes on. Chris Thompson,
Rashad Green.
Some guys that weren't even there to finish the job. We look at them as those transitional guys that deserve all the, praise in the world for helping get us from the lost decade to the national championship. Jordan might be the most organic of any one of those types of players in program history, because what he did, maybe Charlie, you could speak on that better than me, but every one of us, some more than others, Jordan taught a lesson to about what's possible, what can be changed by the time you're 19, 20 years old. Some of us thought there was no chance. Some of us thought he had a good chance, but still he could never be elite. If we get to this level, he will have taught every single Florida State fan a lesson about don't count everybody out. Even
kind
when
of already
in their second
has,
or third
though.
year.
He really has.
But to the level that it would go,
Oh,
the
yeah.
next step to a national championship. Like you talk about a one-player embodiment of a shift from the dark days to the pinnacle of the sport. Jordan would be better than even LaMarcus at something like that in terms of his legacy.
He's already, you're right. And he has already done something that now has certainly taught me a lesson. Like I probably more than anybody else, certainly on staff, was dismissive of Jordan as a passer. I liked Jordan. I thought there was a place for Jordan. There was a use for Jordan at quarterback. We could win with Jordan to a certain degree. But I thought for us to take the next big step, we were going to need a guy that could really throw it on obvious passing downs into tight windows from the pocket. I thought he had to find a way to add that to his game. In my experience, given the evidence we had, I'd never really seen that done. If you're a fairly inaccurate thrower or that's not what your strength is, you don't end up being really good at it at some point a year later, and he did that. He went from, he's not just, he's appreciably better, but he's better in a way that would have somebody who'd never seen him play before. If you told them, look, that kid was a runner first and an average passer. He was a one side of the field kind of guy, and this is all we had. And now he can make all the throws. He's pre-snaps as well as anybody, and he has all those other elements that he already had with the legs. Yeah, I mean, I think most people who watch football would say that that's very surprising. It is. It just doesn't happen. He's an outlier. He is truly an outlier, and good on him, man. It's something to celebrate. I don't ever say any of that with a bit of bitterness. I think it's awesome because Jordan was always likable. Jordan was always a likable kid. He was always a kid who, you liked him for a lot of reasons. He had been largely overlooked. He'd battled through injury. He had a lot of injuries to deal with and maladies and things where you're like, man, is that kid ever going to get healthy? And hell, he wasn't even thought to be the guy by the coaching staff. It's one thing for me, just a guy who does a sports talk show, to give an opinion about what I think a player is. It's a whole nother when you have a quarterback coach and a head coach who also didn't think he was all that unique. Hence the reason they brought in a kid who couldn't move his foot. I mean, they got Mackenzie Milton who had one leg. And that they were willing to go a whole nother route because they didn't see it in Jordan. So that is an awesome story. That's a cool turnaround. He's overcome all of that.
And if they were to go on this magical run this year, just think about it from our rivals' perspective. Like, they would say, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Your program was dead. And then you found this nothing transfer from Louisville who turns out to be a Heisman winner and a national champion. And that's what brings you back and puts you so far ahead of us again, is like that dude out of thin air. That would just be all the sweeter. If we could finish the job, that would be all the sweeter. That would be that. And not Jameis Winston, the number one quarterback in the country that predictably did what he did. It's this guy out of left field.
Yeah, Jameis, that 2013 season, when we talk about accuracy, arm strength, acumen, I mean, he was unreal, but he was also the number one rated quarterback in the country, and everybody wanted him, like you're saying, because they knew he projects that way. He projects as one of these unicorns, these guys that you see it and you go, whoa, he's going to be awesome. And then it happens. And probably fair to say that Arch Manning's going to be pretty good too. I mean, I'm going to guess that he fulfills his promise of being an accurate, talented, and good passer in college.
What an Everest to climb, though. You've got Texas, which since Vince Young has always disappointed. Even when they got to the Natty title game, Colt McCoy gets hurt, and that made me weep a little bit inside. But they never live up to the expectations. And then here's Arch Manning. So could it be that Texas wins out and there's yet another chapter to the failures of that program? Or is Arch and the Manningness strong enough to overcome all of that? It's a great storyline from the Central Time Zone.
Weird too, because by selecting Texas, he has to overcome all that stuff. He could have gone a different route, never had to worry about all that. But yeah,
gone to Alabama.
But I also think that teaches you a little something about who he might be. He's betting on himself. Yeah, he's not real worried about it.
The more I think about the Florida game last year and what Jordan did, the more crazy it is. Like, every time I think about it, I don't know if in the moment we reflected on how much of a Superman he was. And even though we described it as such in the moment.
Yeah, we did.
You think about the NC State loss in that part of the season where there looked to be kind of a disconnect on the sidelines for Wake and NC State. Jordan makes the final mistake, but he didn't make the only mistake in that game. You think about an early fourth down conversion that Johnny just drops right in his breadbasket.
Yes.
We're often running and they never catch us in that football game. It never gets to a point where you second guess Jordan Travis' decision making at the end. Ultimate team game, but we focus on the quarterback. Well, he's failed again by several receivers in the first half of the Florida game. Johnny, Cam, there was at least one other one, and I'm trying to think of who it was. Huge drops. I mean, ridiculous drops, wide open plays. And he doesn't let that overwhelm him, and he takes over the game to the point where it comes all the way around, hits a deep shot to Malik, hits Johnny on that big third down late in the game, and then Trey Benson ices it with a touchdown. But that effort in that game took maturity and skill in a combination that I don't know that I've seen since I've lived here in Tallahassee. It took all of the skills he had as a thrower, as a runner, and as a mature quarterback in order to win that game pretty much single-handedly on offense.
Yeah, he stayed very calm in the face of overwhelming adversity because we couldn't get a stop.
And he was being failed by his targets left and right.
Yeah.
You could, in that moment, if you're not strong enough, say, wow.
But those are the lessons learned from the 3-game losing streak that he emerged from as a different quarterback and a different person and a different kind of leader. And it's also a testament to that growth that, again, we celebrate what he's become because we've been able to watch these tangible steps forward after setbacks, after frustrations, after moments where you began to doubt, where he could have too. Yeah, I think he has obviously a lot of belief in himself and his talents and his work ethic. It helps to have a brother who was an all-world athlete too, who, became a professional baseball player. I mean, you come from a family of guys that believe in themselves and work hard and put in the effort. They put in the work to be
can't
great.
miss prospects out of high school.
Right.
I mean, Devin was a good player. He's at Florida State, but he wasn't thought to be a major leaguer on the level that he was before he got hurt.
And I really wish he hadn't gotten hurt because he was emerging as a everyday player, a good one. And, so, Jordan, I said this before. I think if you just looked at him in the combine sense, if you put Jordan Travis at the combine tomorrow, right? He's there. We're all watching the combine. I think there would be a lot of people that would look at his skill set and go, I don't know. He's a smaller, more apt to injury, mobile quarterback that is going to have to, because you can't bottle up that unique skill set that he has. So you're going to want to run him, but can you with that body type? Can you? Okay, let's say you think you can't run him as much as you'd like to, and you can't take advantage of the fact that he can make guys miss in a phone booth because you're worried about injury. Well, is he so uniquely gifted as a passer that you would overlook that aspect? No, he's not. He's a good passer. He's not uniquely gifted as a passer. So all of a sudden, my point is not to tear him down. I think GMs and coaches are going to find a problem with taking Jordan Travis high in the draft as a quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, like top 10, that kind of a thing. Sure.
But what I've learned with that kid and watching him, and now having been proven very wrong, is don't doubt him. I won't anymore. Lots of other people who haven't been here to document this will. But do I think it's a long shot that he becomes a superstar quarterback in the NFL? Yeah, I do. I don't think it's likely. Yeah, but I think the better question would be, Tom, does he become a starter for a team in the league and have a career as a quarterback, 5 to 8 years as a starting quarterback in the NFL? Do you think that happens?
I think the injury risk, and most any coach would tell you this anyway, but I think the injury risk is higher in the pocket than it is anywhere else for Jordan Travis.
Yeah, he can control the situation. Yeah.
He's showing, yes, and that gift is going to translate to the next level about making guys miss in a phone booth. It just is.
Oh, yeah, he's always going to be able to make people miss until he gets broken down.
Correct. But he also has shown a propensity late in last season to get down and avoid the contact.
Yeah, he knew enough to get down. Yeah.
Actually, that's why the ball was spotted at the 1-inch line twice in the Florida game. Or else he'd have touchdowns.
I still say one of those is a touchdown.
I agree. I 100% agree. Yeah. Because there's no intent there. It's avoidance. It's not an intent to end the play.
No, it was a bad call by the ref. Yeah.
But
go figure.
It's that extra layer to what he's doing that gives me hope for durability for him. Because a year ago, before this whole season even started, he didn't have that awareness to avoid the hit. Well, early last year, he was lead blocking for guys on reverses and stuff. It's just like, man.
Well, but that I
win
think,
the war.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was a lack of awareness or a lack of trust. I don't think he trusted everybody around him yet. And so he was going to get what he could get because we needed it because I can't count on you, or you. But then as time went on, he realized, oh, wait. And maybe some of that was out of necessity because of the injury he suffered against Louisville. And at that point, it probably flashed before his eyes. I could have another lost season. I'm hurt, and at that, you could tell by his reaction, he thought he was really hurt. Luckily, he wasn't. He was just dinged. But he thought he was really hurt. He didn't think in that moment he'd be playing the next Saturday like he did. So, but that's enough. Sometimes you just need that awakening, that moment, right? And then you're like, okay, well, you know what? I've got some time. I could throw the ball here, and I've got playmakers now in a way I didn't have. And more than that, he began to trust that offensive line.
I don't know how he was yesterday practice. You were there. I was not.
He was good. It's fine.
The consistent level of high play that I've seen every time I'm out there it's remarkable. It's worth remarking on is what I mean to say. Because, again, we gloss over the good players and we want to find out about the depth pieces, the new guys, the freshmen. Mm-hmm. Spring it's fun for that reason. But the throws that Jordan is making routinely in practice are not just outside the number deep shots like he did last year, like he did in fall camp and spring camp last year. He's starting to throw dimes over the middle. He's starting to show that ability in the pocket of how to create time with subtle movements, climbing, sidestepping, not flushing, not panicking. His game is getting even more rounded into form. And sometimes spring, you can't tell when something's happening. You can see it in the spring. There's enough evidence out there. Man, he's adding more clubs to the bag, so to speak, more shots to the bag.
He is. It's funny. I see the dad guys comment here, and that brings me to something I did want to bring up. And I have a way while we think about what's possible for this team. I did an interview yesterday. I was on in Atlanta and other markets with Chuck Oliver. And he was talking about, he projects that Florida State could be a college football playoff team. And he said he's had pushback. Other fans of programs around the country are like, whoa. Little quick, don't you think, to be projecting Florida State to be a playoff team? Go ahead.
All right. I always get interested when you go on with Chuck because he always asks an in the weeds question.
He does.
Did he ask about Dre Jacobs?
He did not. And I was
am
kind of
stunned. He loves freshman studs.
Yeah, he does. He does.
What about Van Dre Jacobs?
No.
What are you hearing down there?
Yeah, he made me laugh. He asked about certain players, but he didn't really. He asked about Verse and he asked about some other guys, but he was projecting Florida State's continued development and wanted to know where I was at in regards to that. I talked about the tight end room being better and amongst other things, and the defense, the interior of the defensive line in particular, being a strength for this team. I think it's going to be. But when I hung up, when we got done talking, I thought a little bit about these sky-high expectations that we have for Florida State. I think every day that goes by and we report on the spring, practice that we just watched and the development of certain players and the additions of others like All Day Dre, and you get excited about Kirkland and guys like that you see and you go, oh man, they got something there to go along with all the other players. It gets to a point where you want to check yourself and say, what is a reasonable expectation? What should we be expecting? And it's okay, in my mind, to certainly say with any degree of confidence that you think Florida State should contend for, if not win, the ACC. I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think they should. Vegas agrees with it. The odds are right there along with Clemson to win the conference, which pisses Clemson fans off. They're coming out of the woodwork. What is this nonsense? That's right. You finally have some competition. You've been watching it. We went from getting our doors blown off to having a little bit closer to now it's been eked out. Now, they controlled last year's game better than the score indicated. I think that Clemson did.
We did run the ball on them, though.
We sure as hell did. It turned out to be a precursor to what everybody else did, too. They ran the ball on them.
Yep.
Surprisingly. And the draft will lead to that discussion, too, because they have two guys that are going to go in the first round on that defensive line, and people are going to wonder what the hell was going on. But back to my point.
That sack fumble.
Yeah, I know. But back to my point here now, which is that I think you begin to, if you're going to dream big and you're going to ask yourself, what would derail a great season? Well, you would start at quarterback, wouldn't you? You'd have to start with, knock on wood, this doesn't happen, of course. I'm just having a larger discussion about areas of strength, weakness, depth, lack of. If Jordan did get hurt, do you feel good about what would have to happen from that point forward? Do you think Tate Rodemaker could lead this team to an ACC champion? Say he had to start 6 games.
We could get to Charlotte.
Which 6, right, Jeff? Which 6 games is he going to have to play? And that's a toughie. I don't know, man. I don't love, as currently constructed, I don't love that room. I like the potential of it. But in a right here, right now, we got to win because we're good all around you. Do you feel good about that? I'd say not really. I feel okay. I don't feel good. That's one area. Linebackers. I keep saying it, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. We feel good there? No, we don't. Currently, I don't. I think we're thin there. And I don't think we're elite there with the guys we do have. I think we're okay. A couple guys I feel good about, but not great. And really, when the further down we go, the more I get like, oh, that ain't it. We got to do better than that if you're a championship level team. That's, again, if you're a championship level team. And that's what I'm weighing this against. Championship. Not good. They're good. They're going to be good, period. They're going to be a good football team. Florida State's going to be good. Really good, if you'd like, if that makes you feel better. Really good. I'm doing the weigh-in as it pertains to a championship level team. So when you hear me say that, don't think I'm just taking shots at kids. I'm saying he's not an elite, whatever that player might be that I'm describing, linebacker in this case. We don't have any elite linebackers on this team. We don't. Not one. Nicholson could turn out to be one. We'll see. He get here in the fall. That's a lot to ask for a freshman. Are we elite in the secondary? Adam Fuller doesn't think so right now. He's a little frustrated. His comments seem to suggest as much, right? He's not getting what he wants to get out of that secondary, out of the safeties in particular. Now, they may come around. They may take that challenge and do something. There was two interceptions yesterday. I asked Mike Norvell after practice yesterday because he talked about the emphasis on creating turnovers. And he said that Coach Surtain has put an emphasis being more purposeful in trying to create turnovers. I circled back after he said that and said, well, how? How do you do that? How do you create turnovers? Because my thought process was turnover luck is a thing. It's real. Guy fumbles. Do you get it or you're not? Well, I mean, that's lucky. You happen to be in position or not.
Right. Your interception count goes up as your pass rush gets better.
Right.
Doesn't have necessarily to do much with the technique of the defensive back if it's going to hit him in the chest because the quarterback's scared of Jared Verse.
But I wanted to know what he thought, like, what are these intentional things you're doing? And I said beyond down and distance leverage. Because obviously creating third and long is one way to create more turnovers. You're going to get a pass rush. You're going to get strip sacks. You're going to get all these things, tip passes. You're going to, guys are going to jump routes because they know that it's 3rd and 8 and you got to throw it past here. So, these are the things that are going to happen because I don't know that it's teachable. This is the stuff that's argued about amongst football fans, analysts, and coaches. Is it teachable? You just suddenly make somebody better at creating turnovers beyond down and distance leverage?
They seem contagious, though. I know that that's kind of a nonsense idea, but, I mean, how many teams have we seen in college and pros that the first month of the season, they're leading the league in turnovers and defensive touchdowns. And it just seems to play out that way the entirety of the season. The champion Bucks are an example in 2002.
The Saints were an example.
The Saints were an excellent example of that because defensive metric-wise, they weren't great. A recent Cowboys team with Trayvon Diggs. That defense was okay.
Yeah,
But damn it, if they didn't come down with every chance they had at a pick.
He took a lot of chances.
He did. Okay. The Aaron Rodgers only Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
That team was, a turnover factory.
They played with the lead a lot.
The whole year. That helps. Of course it does.
I think that
helps.
So I think that's going to happen this year. I think Florida State will get more turnovers this year for two very specific reasons. They're going to have the lead a lot. Maybe a sizable lead quite often. And obviously then teams become one-dimensional. They're going to be ahead of the chains a lot. It's going to be 3rd, 5 or more a lot for opposing offenses because I don't think you're going to line up and run the ball on this team. So if you can get a stop on first down and we're in 2nd and 10, away we go. They ought to create a lot more turnovers. They have different looks they can provide on defense. They've got better personnel, deeper personnel. So now I'm not asking a guy for 55 snaps. I'm asking him for 27. Bust your ass for these 27 snaps. There's a guy that's going to replace you. He's just as good as you, and he'll bust his. But all of these things should add to more turnovers. I just don't know that there's a thing you're teaching that creates these turnovers. Rather, you have better depth, and you're playing from ahead.
I agree with you. I think the only thing you could do is teach technique better. And that puts you in position to make plays more often. And the more often you're in a position to make a play, the more often you will make the play.
Yeah, and I think Lord knows they will be better from a technical standpoint.
I teed that up for you.
Yeah, you did. They will be better. Technique will be improved. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
At Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas, it's prime time hot tub season. And after a long, stressful day, there's nothing like soaking in a hot tub with all that steam. And it has lots of great health benefits, too. Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas is your true hot tub headquarters. Save today on the hot tub of your dreams at prices you can afford. Come and shop our 12,000 square foot showroom and find the right model for you. With over 50 hot tubs in stock, you're sure to find the one that's just right. And for a limited time, take advantage of a free spa cover with purchase of your new hot tub. That's around a $400 value, completely free with your purchase. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come see us at 2473 Greer Road. Pick out your hot tub and enjoy your free cover. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Discover the taste of Peru at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. Con amor y pasión, with love and passion, Café de Martín is a fine Peruvian dining experience in an approachable, comfortable, cultural-rich space built for creating memories to last a lifetime. Enjoy happy hour daily with a full bar, handcrafted cocktails, beers on draft and bottle, paired with a selection of Peruvian tapas like crispy fried yuca with house-made huancaína sauce, carefully selected charcuterie boards, a selection of fresh ceviches, and so much more. It's Café de Martín and El Bar. Escape to Peru, a country of great culture, beauty, and food right here in the capital city. Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for over 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at ffbic.com.
This is Rusty Hunt with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. Please call me today at 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM.
Trucking accident? Call Basic Brooks Law Offices, 777-7777.
Your body is a masterpiece designed to heal itself from within. Learn how to maximize your health by tuning in to Phenomenal Health with me, Dr. Ryan Finn. Saturdays at 2:30. Experience true health today and call Finn Chiropractic at 386-7700.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
This is Brian Kilmeade, and I'm excited to be on the air in the capital city. Be sure to tune into my show. I'll be giving you all the latest news, information, and the truth you demand. The Brian Kilmeade Show is live from 9 till noon, right here on Real Talk 93.3.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Taught to punch it out. Yes, I'm aware of techniques about punching the football out. They did that a year ago. They did it the year before that. They did it. All defenses teach that.
One of their first 4 periods. I'm sure we have tons of footage on Warchant.
They do it every single day. Taught to get your head around when the receiver's eyes get big. Yep, these are things you learn in high school. I agree. Taught to read the route combinations. Yeah, I mean, having the ability. I mean, if you watch Saban teach a master class on this online, to do all of those things help. But I was assuming as much, and I'm not trying to be an ass here, Gainesville. No, they do all of those things already. And these are the things that defenses try to instill, or defensive coaches try to instill in their players. And a lot of that stuff is done in high school. if you play at a big school or you've got good coaches. That a lot of these things do happen.
Well, yeah, pattern matching and route concepts. That's 7-on-7 stuff too, because
Yeah,
again,
and pattern matching is, at least when I played, was not taught way back in the 80s and early 90s. It is more now. There are a lot of things online you can watch, Saban being one of those with the pattern matching. Alabama was one of the first to really do it well.
sadly, that's been at Alabama now for
A
15
long
years.
time. Yeah. That is all true. I just thought, above and beyond the ones that are fairly standard, I was curious to see what Mike would say about what Patrick Surtain is teaching that may be different. Now, technique is a big part of this, and that's the part that you noted here. Better technique that puts you in a better position. Yes, without question. And they weren't always playing with better technique and good technique a year ago. And I brought that up last year on the air. Talked about that. It frustrated me. There are things you can see, you can glean from just watching those games, and that is very frustrating. But I didn't. I haven't seen anything yet from Patrick Surtain. Not saying that he's not teaching them anything. I just haven't. We haven't watched a game yet, obviously, and I haven't been able to see a scrimmage yet either. So I am curious to see if these things play out, and there is an onus, a point of emphasis, something along those lines where you're like, okay, this is there, and you're talking about putting stern emphasis on these concepts. Sure. Yeah, maybe it's just having it be top of mind. That's a good way of saying it. I mean, having that instilled, drilled, and to a place where it becomes second nature. I think then therefore you can absolutely expect to see maybe better results. But they're just going to get better results also because they're going to have a pass rush. They're going to be better able to disguise their defenses, and they're going to have people in obvious passing situations. So it's going to be time and again where you get these opportunities. What I am curious about, I think some of what we're talking about with creating turnovers, oddly, if you are teaching technique and pattern reading and pattern matching and all those things that we're talking about, I do think that some of it's confidence to make a play. Some of it is trusting the guy next to you to do what he's supposed to do, where you can take an educated guess or a calculated risk that isn't catastrophic. Based on obvious context clues, but also, the understanding that if I seek to jump this because the last 3, 3rd and 6 or more, they've thrown this and they're aligned in a way that suggests that's exactly what's coming. They're not throwing a deep ball here. They're not throwing a slow developing route because we've been able to get pressure all day long. I'm jumping this bitch and we're going to the hizzy. That is fun to do, but you've got to have everything working together, and you have to have unbelievable confidence and belief that is going to play out the way that you think it is.
There's a great example of that in the Green Bay Packers trip to Tampa a couple of years back. Rodgers has an amazing drive to start the game, does the discount, double check, whatever. They're up 7-0. He throws picks back-to-back early in that game, and then he checks out mentally. He quits on the field.
Yeah.
One of those was by Jamel Dean. It was a throw to the left sideline. And Dean said after the game, well, I knew we were bringing pressure, so there's no way that he could get the ball down the field. I could just jump the first move that I see.
You got to know what's going on. Know the situation.
Yeah, but you got to believe you can get home as well.
Right.
That's the other thing. If it's Devin White from a couple of years ago and he's blitzing, it's going to work. It's going to work.
Yeah. He won't make the tackle, but he will influence the throw.
Correct. But, and at that point you had JPP who was still in good shape, and Shaq Barrett was 100% healthy as well.
Yeah. Very different looking defense.
But that's the thing about the pressure here. Why I say all that is to bring up the pressure issue with FSU. A lot of times our pressures that we dial up take forever to get home, and they don't. You could think about an example in the Clemson game where it is pitiful. The pressure that we bring from the right side.
So obvious and everything. Yes.
It's from the offense's right. It doesn't get home. It's a whiff, and it's a deep shot over our head. You can't make a jump right now, or at least last season. You couldn't jump that route and expect that the ball is going to be thrown short because we don't consistently close on those plays. You got to have better finishers if you're going to bring more pressures with linebackers and safeties and corners.
Well, and I don't think they're going to have to. That's the thing I'm most excited about. I think this is another thing that lets the defense take a big step forward, is that they're not going to have to be exotic. They're not going to have to bring a bunch of different types of pressure. They're going to get pressure from the front four. They're going to get it. You're going to have a collapse of the interior. They're going to reset the offense, the line of scrimmage. You're going to have guys at quarterback's feet because you can be dominant in the middle. That's going to create some one-on-ones on the outside because they can't double. And these guys are going to win those one-on-ones. If Patrick Payton keeps taking a step forward and getting better, and if Verse has the kind of year we think he's going to have, you really, I mean, between Darrell Jackson and Fabo, and obviously Farmer has had an unbelievable camp. He was good again yesterday. Oh, my God, there was a play yesterday. He just destroyed an offensive line, decleated him, and just drove his ass into the backfield. It was embarrassing. It happens, but, I mean, I felt terrible for the kid. I was like, oh, good God, that's emasculating.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I actually did, because everybody saw it. It was in a drill. We're like, oh, Jesus.
But
it'll happen.
A player like 44 or Patrick Payton on the edge, they're going to get so many opportunities to close this year.
By the way, that's another area that we're not terribly deep at, though. Defensive end. With McClendon leaving, we're not as deep as I'd like us to be there either. If we're going to nitpick again about championship level football, you can't have guys get hurt there.
Not one of those key two. I agree. Now, you can mess around with the interior of the defensive line, the interior of the offensive line by putting athletic defensive tackles in the middle and maybe get some pressure there. That can offset not being terribly deep at defensive end. I also think I might be in the minority here, but I think if you needed him in a pinch as a specialist, Lamont Green is quick enough as a freshman that if that's his only job, see Matthew Thomas, different position, I get it. But Matthew Thomas is a true freshman in that championship season. He got hurt. But remember, through the first 3 games, he was like, well, that guy just has a knack for getting around the edge or doing whatever he needs to do. You might have a couple of specialists there, but you don't want them out there on 3rd and 6. You can trust Patrick Payton and Jared Verse to be out there on 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 4. It's no big deal.
Yeah, maybe. He's really thin.
It's okay if it's 3rd and 12 and you're a little thin at defensive end. Go out there and see what you can do, man. You're just faster than the other guy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Can't do that if you need anything else. But he's got to get a lot bigger. But he will. He's going to work hard. And he's already got. You've already seen the ability why people like him.
We don't ask setup man to start baseball games.
Well, we do. We do these days.
The Rays ask.
Yeah.
They're not asking for 6 innings out of him.
No. Give me one. Give me an opener. Give me the moment. Speaking of day baseball, there's a game on right now, and the Buccos lead 1-0 in the 6th, looking for the sweep of the Boston Red Sox in Boston.
Have you reminded Christy about that at all?
Yeah, we watched it together last night, a 4-1 triumph of the Pittsburgh Pirates in dominating fashion. In fact, since a shootout in the first inning of game 1 of the series, which saw both teams hit multiple home runs in game 1, in inning number 1, the Pirates have held the Boston Red Sox to 20-something straight innings of whole lot of nothing. Get you some.
Sounds like my squad up in Milwaukee. First 2 days, 19-0 combined. Hurt your feelings.
Yeah, it will. Better limber up, Milwaukee.
That won't raise your Jolly Roger.
No, that'll hurt your feelings. This is a Mitch Keller start, so I am encouraged.
Not just screwing Mitch Keller.
That's right. Old Mitch went 5, gave up 1 hit, struck out 6. Suck it. Now we'll see. We could lose the game. There's a lot of baseball left to be played, Tom. A lot of baseball left.
And after all, they are the Pirates.
Yeah, that's right. Soon to be the 4-2 Pirates, but let's just slow our roll and all that disrespect.
I'm just going by what you tell me that they are. They aren't.
It's fair. It's fair. I do want to. There is a couple of cool things to note about baseball. I got to ask this question, and baseball's on the mind of some folks, and there were a lot of questions about time of games and all this good stuff. So yesterday, Tom, there were 14 games played. 14 games played yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of them went 3 hours. Not a single one. Holy moly. Has that ever happened in the history of baseball?
I know that one of them was an hour 57.
The average of the 14 games played yesterday was 2 hours and 53 minutes. And you did have our first sub 2-hour game of the season yesterday. Manny Machado got ejected for not being in the box and alert on time, and he got upset and get the hell up out of here. First inning, 3-2 count. Wasn't alert to the pitcher when the clock was down to 8 seconds. The umpire called an automatic strike. You go sit your ass. Machado not happy about it, and that's what happens. Update on stolen bases, okay, because this is going to be a thing now.
Yep.
Base runners on Tuesday were 17 of 22 attempting to steal bases, a more modest 77% success rate. So on the year, we're at 83%.
Ooh.
Now,
I believe the career record for success rate is like 86.
The record.
Individual.
Okay, so this is just so people know what we're gauging. All right. Here's basically stolen base success rates were moving upward over the last several years. It wasn't just this stretch. Okay. The top seasons since dead ball era for stolen base percentage, Tom, you ready? These are the top seasons ever. 2021, 2022, 2020, in that order. 75.7% on the season in 2021, 75.4% in 2022, 75.2% in 2020. Before that, you got to go back to 2007 with 74.4%. Be interesting to see what was going on in 2007. Yesterday was 77%.
Maybe it's Pasednik that was helping run up the numbers.
So, again, yesterday was 77%. That's less than 2 full percentage points above what has been the norm the last 2 years in baseball. People can live with that. They are trying to get people to run. They want you to run.
They do, and that's fine to incentivize it. I would wager that we could get to the All-Star break this year, and there probably would be more successful stolen bases this year than in any of those other years. The prevalence of it, I think, is that much higher.
Well, you brought up something yesterday, so I went back and looked it up, and this is true. So in the 80s, in the mid to late 80s, and I remember this. I watched that era. You weren't born yet. I was watching. They stole bases like it was their job, because it was. They did. Everybody stole bases. It was nuts. Now, the thing is, they were also thrown out at a high rate because they stole all the time. They were willing to take the risk. The home run didn't rule the game.
Right.
So, you know, it's interesting. Lou Brock stole 118 bases in 1974. He was caught 33 times. The stolen base rate that year for the league was terrible, 64%. Everybody got thrown the hell out. Even Lou Brock got thrown the hell out, but he kept going. Stole 118.
Yeah, the all-time record is 86.4%, and that's Beltran. And the second is Tim Raines.
Woo! Rock Raines was fast as hell.
84.7, I believe. 84+%.
So Ricky Henderson didn't have a year where he stole?
No, a career. This
okay.
is career.
Yeah.
So Ricky got caught at, I'm sure he's probably like 82%. I haven't looked it up as a list, but those are the top two.
It'd be pretty funny to ask Ricky Henderson about it, because he would tell you that Ricky just wasn't getting a good jump that year. We'll come back, wrap it up with probables in a moment.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. High of 87 this afternoon. Under partly cloudy skies, south winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows around 67 tonight, partly cloudy skies. A mix of clouds and sun tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 88. Upper 80s Friday with a chance for scattered thunderstorms. Turning much cooler Saturday with highs in the upper 70s. Chance for storms continues. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 88.
Now go call Seminole Glass. They'll get on the road and get it done fast.
Your
local family-owned glass company serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. At Seminole Auto Glass, we care about your safety. Insurance will send you wherever it benefits them, not the quality of service. There's a difference in auto glass companies. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass.
They handle any kind of broken glass, and you know who they are.
Better call Seminole.
On the first day of the week, at early dawn, they came to the tomb and found the stone rolled away from the entrance. But when they entered, they did not find the body of Jesus. And it happened that two men suddenly stood near them in dazzling apparel and said to them, "Why do you seek the living one among the dead? He is not here. He has risen." This Easter, may your heart be filled with the wonder of that first Easter morning. A message of joy from Wood and Glass on South Monroe, Tallahassee's first family in glass since 1945. For mirrors, shower and bath enclosures, tabletops, and window glass, call 222-5781, online at woodandglass.com. And Tony Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning, the highest industry standards, personal attention to every detail. That's Tony Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. Call 850-3774, online at TonyKellyInc.com.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
It almost happened in 1907, but for Winton, the long ship cannon requested a wad of dip from a lad in the bleachers. Oh, man. So before we get to probables, you got picks for the Masters? I do. I've got picks, man.
A couple of sleepers out there. Corey Connors.
It's not much of a sleeper, though. I think a lot of people know Corey can.
But if you look at the futures and the odds on winning the tournament or even top 10, he's 4-1 to finish top 10. His last two Masters, tied 10th, tied 6th. 4-1 odds to finish top 10. I think that's a great value. Michael Collins put it more concisely than I could about Tommy Fleetwood. He said that there's one place that you can tune up in earnest for Augusta, and that is at the Valspar down in Palm Harbor. Fleetwood finished 3rd. And last year, he had a career best, tied for 14th at the Masters. He's made the cut 5 out of 6 times at Augusta. So those are two good sleeper picks.
I took Tommy Fleetwood in one of my DraftKings lineups.
There you go.
For that very reason.
Jason Day is probably one to consider as well.
I have Jason Day in that same lineup. I've got several of these lineups that I've gone through and picked for DraftKings, and some that I'm also in with my overall pool. The illegal one. That one is my favorite one. And, it's not so you want to guess the order? I bet you can. Guess the order with which the first 4 players were taken and who was taken in that first 4.
Oh, God.
So Scheffler 1, obviously.
Yeah, Scheffler 1. I'll go Rory 2.
Correct.
Rahm 3.
Would have been, but I took a flyer on Justin Thomas. And I had third pick.
Ooh,
I feel good about him.
Now, this is an interesting one.
Mhm.
I was listening to No Laying Up this week, and they said on the grounds, the word around things is that he's got a hip issue.
Oh,
He's been
sweet
working through.
Jesus.
Now, hey, man, Tigers won a U.S. Open on one leg, and he won in 2019.
Tiger. Justin's 5 foot nothing, 100 nothing.
He hit a good shot on 12 today when I was watching the practice round on ESPN. He had a 10-foot putt.
I need him to not have a hip issue. Sweet Jesus.
I was surprised that they divulged that in passing in the Masters preview. Word around the inside the ropes that he's got a hip issue. Way to lose your source there, guy.
Yeah, Justin Thomas. Well, they may be doing that for Justin. He's been on the show several times. That might be we know you're hurt. Rom went fourth because I took Thomas, and then it went Day, Spieth, Cantlay, Morikawa, Schauffele, Finau, Cam Smith, and Corey Connors, Sung J M. Oh, we got to do probables, don't we? Do we have time today? Even...
Skipping the intro.
Have it ready. How much time do I have? Give me the seconds. Give me the minute. What do I got?
You have 90 seconds.
McClanahan starting for the Rays. Phillies, Yanks, they're underway. Aaron Nola, Garrett Cole. We're going to skip to the Pirates, who are leading the Red Sox 2-0. Mitch Keller started. Corey Kluber.
Not just screwing Mitch Keller.
Mets, Brewers, that was Peterson and Corbin Burns. We're going to skip to the later games. Guardians, Athletics, Hunter Gaddis, Angels, Mariners, Shohei Ohtani. Got to watch it. Chris Flexen, Blue Jays, Royals, Alec Manoah, Zach Greinke, and tonight, Cubs, Reds. That's been postponed. Braves, by the way, you guys are in the 7th. It's Bryce Elder and Miles Mikolas.
Yes.
Good work out of you. Good work, Director Matthew. Be well, everybody. Have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.